Many of my clients have been confused lately on the difference between a Kajabi newsletter product, a Kajabi email newsletter, and a Kajabi blog. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining the difference and also giving a step-by-step tutorial for each. Before we dive in, if you're new here, I am an official Kajabi expert. I go by Ari the Creator, but that's because you are the creator of your life, future, and business. And I truly believe that having a Kajabi that's well set up is one of the best ways to financial freedom and also creating that change that you wish to see in the world. So be sure to subscribe for weekly videos. And also, if you haven't signed up for Kajabi already, if you sign up down below using my link, you will unlock these exclusive bonuses. So let's get into it. So what is the difference between a Kajabi email newsletter, a newsletter product, and a blog? As I'm explaining these, know that the lines aren't so fine. There is some gray area, but not to worry because in the next slide, I'm going to help you get even more clarity. So email newsletters. Think of this as your ongoing communication channel with your email list. This is great for brief updates, any announcements, maybe industry news, and behind-the-scenes content. This often feels like a direct message to your audience, and oftentimes it's used to drive traffic to your YouTube videos, any other content, maybe podcasts, any landing pages, events, etc. A newsletter product, on the other hand, is a digital product within Kajabi where subscribers access exclusive content, and this usually is behind a paid wall. This is great for nurturing community, sharing deeper insights, and delivering consistent, high-value content. The tone of this can be personal, or it can be more polished and professional, depending on your brand and whether this product is free or paid. Lastly, the blog post. This is for public content on your Kajabi site, and that's indexed by Google, and it's designed for search and discoverability. Oftentimes, this entails educational content. It's written in article style, and it's structured to answer questions or share tutorials and insights. Typically, this is less personal than the newsletters, and it's more focused on attracting new readers or showcasing your expertise. Even after running through that, some of you may still not be sure which one is best for you. I created this chart right here to further break it down. As I'm running through these features, know that some of you may decide that you don't even need to use the Kajabi newsletter product because one big con of it is that it does use up one of your Kajabi products. So based on which plan you have a limited number of products. So for basic, you can only have 3. For pro, it's 15. And you may be able to use the email newsletter and the blog posts side by side instead of using one of these up. In terms of comments, so this is allowing your audience to leave comments on the posts. For email newsletters, obviously you can't do that because it's just a message straight to people's inboxes. For the newsletter product, you can. This is a really great way to engage with the community because when people see a post, they'll leave comments, people can spark discussions. And for blog posts, there is an option to have comments. And so this will be built into Kajabi, and this is expected to release July/August of 2025. However, I did find an article where you can implement a widget into your Kajabi site so that you don't need to wait until then to have comments, and I'll link that article down below. Moving on to SEO and discoverability. For email newsletters, that is not designed for people discovering you. By this point, if people receive an email newsletter, they've already discovered you via another platform. With the newsletter product, there is some discoverability features. However, this is much more limited. The blogs are much better for SEO, and when I'm showing you the tutorial for each of these, I will show you exactly what I mean and how the blogs have more tools for appearing in Google search because they are indexed within Google. In terms of content storage, so what I mean by this is if a new subscriber signs up, can they access past posts that you've made before? For email newsletters, no, they can't. There's no way to see the past emails that you sent. For a newsletter product, yes, it creates this kind of like this content library where people can read past posts. And then for blog posts, people can read your past blogs. When it comes to a paywall option, technically for email newsletters, you can set up that paywall. And the way that you do it isn't as easy as when you're setting up a newsletter product, because with this, it's just a simple click of a button. And I'll show you that in the tutorial. But for an email newsletter, you could technically do this by having a separate checkout page and then having a tag after people sign up for it. And then when you send out email blasts, it only goes out to people with that tag. With blog posts, there is no paywall option, so anyone can read those for free and they can read the entire post. By the way, some of this will make more sense once I'm giving you the tutorial because you'll be able to visually see exactly how these are set up. Does it require an opt-in? Yes, in order for people to read your email newsletters, they need to opt in. For the newsletter product, they also need to opt in as well. There is an option if you just have a free one where there is no opt-in. However, I typically do recommend this, especially if you are offering this as a paid product. For a blog post, there is no required opt-in to read that material. And then lastly, email distribution. This is simply your ability to send the content straight into people's email inboxes. So for email newsletters, yes, this goes straight into people's inboxes. For the newsletter product, you have the option whether or not to send it into people's inboxes. So you can actually post a new newsletter product without any of the current subscribers getting emailed about it. And for blog posts, you technically can. And the way to do that is by working it alongside the email newsletter. So you include a direct link to that blog, and you simply email it out to your list by copying and pasting the link. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment down below, but now I want to transition into giving a tutorial for each of these features, so let's start with the email newsletter. As a reminder, an email newsletter often gives updates, announcements, sometimes behind-the-scenes content. I'm always getting newsletters from realtors in my area because I'm looking and investing in real estate, and so as you can see, this gives industry news, any new updates. Oftentimes, they will inform people about any events. So you can see here that there is a webinar where you can register by accessing a landing page. So this is ultimately what we are working to create, just something that goes into your subscribers' inboxes. So in order to do that in Kajabi, you first off need to have some contacts. If you don't have contacts right now, maybe they are hosted in a different software like MailChimp or any other platform, you simply want to add contacts and import the CSV. So on that platform, you can download that. That will contain all of the contacts, and you can simply import it here. Once you have contacts, now you can send out the newsletter. And what you could do as well is you can create different tags. So as I told you, there is a way to not use the Kajabi newsletter product in order to have people pay for a newsletter. And the way that you do that is when people purchase your newsletter through a checkout page that you make under the sales tab, then you can create it so that when they sign up, they automatically get a tag. And so underneath contacts, you can manage tags. And so let's say I add this tag. I'm going to call it just new newsletter. So let's save that. Okay, now let's say that I created an offer. So let's say I created a new offer. I called it, obviously give yours like a really nice name, but I could just continue. Let's say that I make this $27 and let's do a month, $27 a month. Bill them once every month. You could choose your payment type. Awesome. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about this right now, but you can create it so that when somebody signs up for this, then there is an automation where you add a tag, and then you select it right there, and then you click save. So you can do it that way, and then your current contacts, let's say I want RE2 here to have that tag. I simply click on the contact, I click on that icon, and then I select that tag and I save it. Awesome. So now that that's set up, underneath marketing, you want to click on email campaigns. And then from here, you click new email campaign. This is going to be an email broadcast. So this is a single email to, again, promote a product, share news, or stay connected. We're not going to be worried about email sequences right now. So I'll click continue. And as you can see, there are a number of different templates right here. And so you can scroll down, choose the one that you like. The newsletter one is just a basic one that's set up. So I'm just going to do that for now. I'm going to call this first newsletter. We're going to click on create. So here you can choose who will receive that broadcast. You can either choose all of your contacts if your newsletter isn't paid, if it's for everyone on your list, or if this is a paid newsletter, you can choose custom segment, and then you can select filter. I know there are a lot here, but there's one that says has any of these tags, and then you can choose this one, and then you click on apply. And then from here, you can give your newsletter a subject line. This is the first sentence that they'll see once it lands in their inbox. Any preview text. And this is where you can customize what you want to put in your newsletter. Again, you could share any news, any photos, any buttons to landing pages. And that's pretty much it. And what I like to do before officially sending it off to my list, I like to send a test email to myself, and then that way I can look at it, make sure everything looks good, and then I save and continue, and then I send it off to my audience. So this is really straightforward and easy to do, and many of you can actually use this feature, again, instead of paying and using up one of your Kajabi products. Now let's talk about how to create a Kajabi newsletter product. So with this feature in Kajabi, it's going to guide you with how to create a landing page like this where people can sign up. And again, you can choose for this to either be free or paid. This is part of my Philanthropy. And so I set it up to where it's free, or you can choose a price, and that's going to go towards our philanthropic cause of the year. And then once people sign up, then it looks just like this. They could see my posts. And I created it to where there is like a paywall. And so before people read, I do want them to at least opt in. So when I say opt in, I want them to at least put in their name and email. They could still choose to read for free if they select that $0. Again, this is how I have it set up because that's what worked best for this other brand of mine. I have two brands. I have the YouTube Business and Kajabi one, and then I have the Philanthropic and Podcast one. So that's what works for me, but you can customize this to make it your own, and let me show you exactly how to do that. So in Kajabi, go over to products, and then I'm going to click on get started because this account doesn't have any products yet. And then you want to click on newsletter, and then click on get started. And then from here, I'm going to give it a title, a brief description, and you can also give it a thumbnail image. Do put some thought into this because Kajabi is going to use its AI to draft some of your first newsletter post ideas and also send people a thank you email. So I'm just going to call this Maximus Kajabi and YouTube Profits with Ari the Creator, and I'm going to give it a brief description. Okay, awesome. And then from here, you can choose a thumbnail. I recommend Canva for creating graphics. It's just really easy to add text, choose the right dimensions, and download any designs that you create. So we're going to upload a new file. This is where you can choose whether your newsletter is paid or free. If you're not sure right now, just toggle this off because you can always come back to this and set it up later. I typically recommend if you're going to be posting weekly or monthly content to have this on a subscription, just so you can earn recurring revenue. Let's say this is $27 every month. You could choose your payment method and then click next. Okay, so as you could see, Kajabi just set up the newsletter, and like I told you, it did draft up some posts using AI. You don't have to use these, but maybe it sparked some good ideas for you when you could just go in, edit it, make it your own, add in some photos. Regardless, I'll show you in a second how to make a new post. But as you can see, there's some really great metrics here like subscribers, open rate, and click rate. This is the metrics for your email. And by the way, for the Kajabi email newsletters, it gives you some of these metrics as well. So it's good to compare the two if you're still unsure which route you'll take. You can see information about your audience, engagement, the overall health. Right now, there's obviously nothing here since this is a brand new newsletter, but let's talk about how to create a new post. So if I click on a new post right here, you'll see that there's some really nice formats here. So I could give this a headline, and then this is where I could like type out my paragraphs. And if you click on this plus icon here, there's a number of different features. So you can make this really pretty with bulleted lists. You can add in images. There's numbered lists. And then you can also add in that paywall and also that subscriber break. So the paywall is for paid subscribers. So some people have newsletters where they allow for free access and also paid access. So the paywall blocks those who are just free subscribers, and then the subscriber break is for those who aren't even subscribed at all. So you can add some differences there. Let me show you how this would look. So this is one of the newsletters that I created. As you can see, I added in a photo. I started typing things out. But look, I put a subscriber wall. So this means that in order for me to continue reading, I have to upgrade. But if I did already subscribe to this, then I just simply need to log into my account. And when you initially sign up for the Kajabi newsletter product, it will prompt you at sign up to create a password. And if any of your subscribers ever forgot it, then they can simply click on forgot password right here. I just drafted up a short little newsletter to show you how it could look like. And another feature that I really like is that you can upload YouTube videos and embed it there, and it'll even show the thumbnail once it's done, and people can easily click on that. So let's say that I created this, and at this point, I wanted to create that paywall break. You can simply press that plus icon, and you can choose exactly where it's placed. Awesome. Now over here, if I preview this page as a guest, you will see that I cannot read beyond that point. But if I view this page as a paid subscriber, then this is what it's going to look like. I could see the whole thing right here. Another cool thing is that you can preview the paid email. So this is what the email will look like to people who actually paid for it. And you can also view it as a free email. So when people will get this email, and then they will be prompted to upgrade or to log in if they have not already. Before we publish this and make it official, go over to settings and let's adjust some of these features here. You can also choose a post thumbnail, so this image will appear in your content library. For example, in this newsletter I have right here, I chose these images as the thumbnail. And then you can also add tags. These are search-based keywords that your subscribers can type into the search bar and find. So for example, for this one, I'm going to put Kajabi tutorial, I'm going to put YouTube advice. That way, when you have a big content library, your subscribers can easily find the newsletters on specific topics. You can also add in the author and just put Ari the creator. You can also choose to hide this from the web. So if you don't want your newsletter to appear in search results, then toggle this on. If you just want this to be exclusive for just people who are in your newsletter, totally up to you. This really depends on your goals. If you want to reach new people with this, then you can, or if you just want to keep it exclusive, then obviously toggle this off. Let's go on to SEO and social sharing. So you can also choose the URL slug. This is just the letters at the end of the URL. This really doesn't matter too much, so I'm just going to put one for now. And you can also choose a page title and a page description. Now, this will help you with appearing in Google search, and also this will appear, like if somebody, let's say, texts your newsletter to somebody else, then they will often see the title and the description within their text message. It'll show the image and all that text here. So this is where you can edit that, and then You can also choose the image that the text has as well. From there, you can choose whether or not this has comments, and before you publish this, you can send a test email to yourself just to see how it would look in your email inbox. And then you could choose an email subject line. You can have any preview text, and then you can choose who actually receives this email. So you can choose all of your subscribers, or you could choose a segment of your subscribers. So if you click on this, then you can actually create and manage a segment. So this is what we did before when I was adding the tags on here. You can also only send this to free subscribers, only paid, or you could even choose to not send an email at all. When you fill all this out and you click on save, and when you click on publish, then that newsletter will be available within your newsletter content library, and the people will get an email if you chose to send it to them. So within the Kajabi newsletter product, you also have the option to customize this page and also the sign up page. So this is where people first learn about, what this newsletter is about, and then they can click a button to choose to subscribe. In order to set that up, if you click on this paint canvas right here, you can edit the sign up page. Right now, it's going to look not very pretty. It's going to look generic, but you can go in and edit this. This is very similar to editing a Kajabi landing page. So you can have different sections here. It's going to give you the default one. You can add different text, different images. You can have a better description of your newsletter. Again, this is where people go to initially learn about it. So you want to give good details here, especially if it's a paid newsletter. You want to really communicate the transformation and that return on investment that people will get. This is dependent on your niche, so if you do want assistance with that, I do have different ways that I can support you via coaching. There's more information down below. The other thing that you can edit is the actual newsletter page. Again, this is this page right here where it's the whole content library. This will fill up over time, and so it'll look really nice with a bunch of different posts, and new subscribers, it's going to be really nice because they're going to see all this value and they can go through it. But this is how it initially looks. I know it doesn't look super pretty yet, but you can edit this, and when you have your posts, you will be able to see them here, and you can choose the layout. But right now, this is the default one. You can choose to get rid of a lot of these different features here because a lot of them aren't even necessary. They're just repeating themselves. But the biggest thing I want you to realize right now is you can create your own landing page and checkout page without needing a Kajabi newsletter product. So again, if you really want to preserve your Kajabi products, you could just create a landing page, and when people subscribe now, they have that automation where they get a tag. And then if they unsubscribe, then they get that tag removed. You can easily set up those automations, and then you could just have your newsletter be through email. And I think a lot of people don't even need to use this product. It's definitely really nice, and it's good if you want to build this content library. But if you don't want to have a content library that's hidden, if you don't want to have those paywalls or those subscriber breaks, then you can simply get by with that strategy that I just explained, and you can preserve all of your content within blogs. So I've experimented with posting blogs, and as you can see, it's really similar to the Kajabi newsletter product. You could see everything right here. You can click to learn more. And the difference is that these blogs don't have the paywall or the subscriber break. So you may decide that, again, you don't want to use that product. So let me show you now how to set up a blog just like this. So to edit blogs, go over here to website and then click on blog. I already made a few on this account, but if you're starting fresh, just click on new post. If you're just starting fresh as well, it's probably going to ask you to give the blog a name, give it a description, and then also have it include a photo in there. So very easy to do. When you're done, click on save, and then click on new post. Now, these elements are very straightforward. You could choose to attach any media like video or audio. This here is where you give the blog a name. So look at, there's already one here. Pros and cons of Kajabi. Is it worth your investment? When you are editing the content within your blog, I do recommend going full screen because this is kind of like a Word document or a Google Doc. It's much easier to type on here and to make sure that everything is formatted correctly. Okay, so I just uploaded my blog, and one thing I will say is that the blog editor doesn't have as many features as the newsletter product. So there's no plus icon here where I can add in like embedded videos. Obviously, you can't have a paywall or a subscriber break. You can't even embed the YouTube videos, so I just put a link here. So there's little things to work around it, but it would be much nicer if I could embed the YouTube video. You could include different images. So for example, let me just upload this one as an example. It looks huge, but you can adjust the sizing. So, that could look nice. So you could make this your own. There's some flexibility, but, for the most part, you can still work around it. Again, this is really good for appearing in Google search. Again, you can give it a slug, and then this is where you want to be more mindful of your title and page description, because remember that this is indexed with Google. So you want to do research on search-based keywords within your niche. And you want to integrate that within the title and the page description so you can increase the odds that people will discover you. And then again, choose a nice image, because oftentimes people will see this image before deciding whether or not to continue reading your blog. These tags here, they're going to help you with appearing in Google search. If you remember, for the newsletter product, you can also add tags, but those weren't indexed with Google. That was just within the platform itself, so only subscribers could really benefit from those tags so that they could sort through your content. But let's say for this one's about the pros and cons of Kajabi, so I would add tags like Kajabi. What is Kajabi? I would really research what my audience is typing in with this topic. You can honestly even ask ChatGPT. Give ChatGPT your blog and ask it, what are some search-based tags that I can include on this blog so that it could appear in Google search? And it'll give you like some really nice tags. It'll, pros and cons of Kajabi. And add as many here because, again, this will help you appear in Google search. Just make sure that it's relevant to the actual material. And then from here, you can give it an image, and then you simply click on publish. Now, when you click on publish, it's going to post on your blog's page. To access this page, go over to website pages, and then click on blog. This is where you can customize all the elements of your blog. So this is another one of my blogs that I have. And so I chose to give it a headline. I put a button here so that people could listen to the podcast. So I simply went over the text, included a call to action, and I included the landing page to the podcast that I have. And then what I also chose to do was I chose to list out the blogs with 3 columns. You can also choose different grids, so you could choose 2 columns. You can choose to have it as a list. Personally, I don't like this one as much. I think it's nice for people to see like a general overview. What else? You could have media on the left. It'll look like this if so, or you can have media on the right. For my own preference, again, I really like that 3-column grid. And up to you about which content you want to show. These don't have videos, but you could choose whether or not to show the date. You could choose different tags. These, I didn't add any tags. You could show the content. I think that this looks a little bit messy, so I don't personally like to do that. But again, it's up to you. Something else you could do as well, which I do recommend, is having an opt-in, because the biggest con with having a blog is that people don't have to opt in order to access that content. Whereas for the email newsletter and also the newsletter product, people had to opt in in order to access that, unless, of course, for the product it was free. But this is just a good way for people to stay connected, get on your list, and stay informed. What you could also do is if you click up here, you can also choose to edit some other aspects. So you can choose how the blog post page itself looks. Currently, this is how mine looks. And so you can edit this body here. So I can choose where this header is. Right now it's on top. If I uncheck it, header's at the bottom. I can choose whether or not to show the date. Right now it's right there, or I can get rid of it. I could choose to show tags. You can also choose to have different style overrides. So these are just like your branding colors. You could choose to have a sidebar. So sidebar looks like this. You could choose where it even is if you want it to be on the right. But overall, I think that this is pretty straightforward. So I hope that this gave you a better sense of how to use these features and which one is best for your business. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to comment down below because I'm more than happy to help. And I also provide guidance if you need it. So if you want, my 2-week intensives are really effective for people, especially doing Kajabi work, because during those 2-week intensives, we can meet on Zoom and you can actually tell me about your business. You could share your screen. I could do some of the stuff with you on the call. And then if we do a 2-week intensive in between on weekdays, you can message me on WhatsApp. So that's a really great way to get help. If you're someone who wants to use YouTube to drive traffic to Kajabi, I'm really great with that. I'm really great with the conversion rate, and I know what works out there because I've been doing this since 2017, since I was interning for TEDx. So I know a lot about this, and I would be really happy to support you along your journey. I hope that this was helpful. Subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you for the next one.